How do you embalm a king of France? I'm going to tell you. So I'm Lauren-Jane, I'm a medical doctor and I make history videos. So this here is Louis XVIII and he died on September 17th, 1824. Now, first thing that they did was to take his heart and remove it and wash it in an alcohol solution of something called deutochloride of mercury or corrosive sublimate. Now, mercury chloride is very, very toxic. We wouldn't want to use it today, but it does have use as a preservative, and in the olden days they would use it as an antiseptic and even to treat syphilis. Now, once the heart has been washed, they put a load of choice aromatics around it and put it in a leaden box. But now we have to turn our attention to the rest of his body. Step 2, so they note that the viscera of the 3 great cavities are incised, washed in solution for about 6 hours and put in these aromatics. I'll come back to these. The 3 great categories they're talking about is the thoracic cavity, the abdominal cavity and the pelvic cavity, so all the organs that are in each of these. So they all need to be removed because they're corruptible, they are going to rot. And if you're wondering about the average person, would they be embalmed? The answer is no, most likely they would just be washed and shrouded and buried, but not embalmed. This tends to belong to the nobility. Now after that, all of the surfaces of the body, including these cavities, are washed with this mercury solution, but also with sodium chloride. Now, sodium chloride will dehydrate the tissues, but it also has a bit of an antibiotic effect on the tissues. Now, I had a look for studies about this. Modern studies have assessed sodium chloride as an effective solution for embalming. It's amazing what these guys knew. Now, the fleshy parts is kind of the trunk and the limbs. These are all incised and washed with these same solutions. And then these cavities and incisions are then washed with a spirit varnish. So this is like a resin dissolved in alcohol, and the cavities will be filled with powders and aromatics and resins. Now, different resins are used different places. We don't know exactly what is used in the case of Louis XVIII, but things like clove or myrrh would be used. And then these cavities are going to be closed with sutures. More varnish is then applied, and then bandages of diachylon, however you pronounce that. This interested me because British monarchs are usually in cerecloth. So if you saw my video about Henry VIII or Charles I or indeed Edward IV, their bodies were wrapped in cerecloth, which is effectively a gauze-like structure, which is impregnated with like Vaseline kind of resin, which helps to preserve them. Now, diachylon is a plaster. It sometimes contains olive oil and lard and can contain lead, so it's used to treat wounds, but it's effectively an adhesive, so we're basically wrapping Louis VIII tight. And then on top of that, we get layers of vanished taffeta. Now, the late king is then dressed with a cap. His body is given a chemise, and his arms and breast are draped in a vest with sleeves of white silk, and then covered with a whole sheet of batiste. He is then enclosed in his coffin and sent for burial. If you are interested in tombs, do check out my YouTube, because we've got Henry, Charles, we've got Edward IV, Pocahontas and Countess.